PDF Butter is customer, user, admin, and developer focused. Design engaging and deal-winning documents in MS Word. Integrate these directly from Lightning UI. Automate with your favorite Salesforce.com tools like Process Builder and Flow. Go beyond and extend with Apex.
We were just a bunch of nerdy kids who ignored the haters. We took their ridicule and we built on it. And when some of us gave up, well, we built on that too. Built resilience, built on a mission to make things a little better every day until the users came. Then the haters were VCs who scoffed at our audacity. This just isn't the way things are done. But we kept building. Users turned into teams, turned into companies, running their entire businesses on our apps. Then the software giants came after us. We weren't proven, we weren't fully featured, our radical cloud model wasn't secure. But we built on. And today, as companies adopt the cloud to move faster, teams are finding themselves slowed down by each other's efforts. The skeptics are claiming we'll never develop innovation at scale. But now, DevOps have come to the cloud, ushering in a new era of transformation. Companies can release on demand across hundreds of environments, innovating faster with fewer conflicts and fewer disruptions. There will always be challenges. There will always be naysayers. And we'll build on.
Hi everyone, joining my session today on how a Salesforce developer can be more productive using Visual Studio Code. I hope you are all enjoying virtual Dreamin so far. I'm Satya Sekhar, Senior Developer Evangelist from APAC Developer Relations Team, Salesforce. You can tweet me on Twitter as Satya SFDC and also can reach me on LinkedIn as Satya Sekhar Chegondi. Okay, before I start my presentation, I might be making some forward-looking statement during my presentation as well as my demos. So if any of you, if you are planning to do any purchase decisions, please base your decisions only on what are currently available on the platform. In today's session, I'm going to introduce you to Visual Studio Code. Probably most of you already know how to use the Visual Studio Code, but I'm going to tell what is Visual Studio Code, and then I'm going to talk about the features of Visual Studio Code. I have classified these features into three broad classifications: the visual productivity features, code productivity features, and version controls features. After which we'll also see a demo. So let's start with the understanding of what a Visual Studio Code is and how it works. So Visual Studio Code basically is a source code editor. It's an open source, lightweight source code editor by Microsoft. And you can install it on any of the operating systems, including Windows, Mac OS, or any flavors of Linux. And it comes with built-in support for JavaScript and TypeScript. When I say it is lightweight, it means that it's not going to take too much of footage when it is running the processor. So you can extend the functionality or features of the Visual Studio Code using the extensions. So fundamentally, it comes with the basic built-in support, after which you can run your extensions. For instance, if you want to develop using the Salesforce, develop for Salesforce platform, in that case, you'll have to install extensions for Salesforce CLI, Apex, Apex Interactive Debugger, so on and so forth, depending upon your requirements. But Salesforce has provided you one single extension pack which covers all these things. You need not really install each of these things separately. Everything is covered in single installation pack called extension pack. So extensions are one way of extending the functionality of the Visual Studio Code. The other way is also by using the plugins. Because Visual Studio Code comes with Node.js built in, you can always install Node.js plugins. So for instance, Salesforce CLI can be installed as a plugin as well. Now, this is the user interface of Visual Studio Code, whether you are working on Windows operating system or you're working on Mac or you're working on Linux, you see the same user interface. On the left side, you can see activity bar, which has one or more icons. By default, it comes with these 5 icons. So each of these icons, when you click, is going to start an activity. For instance, the first icon starts a file explorer activity. And then you can see that file explorer in the sidebar. Similarly, if you click any other activity there, you can see the respective view in the sidebar. And you can write your code in the editor space. You can open one or more editors, and you can also split the editors. If you want to compare two files side by side, you can even do that by using the topmost icons, what you can see on the screen there. And at the bottom, you can see a panel, which is basically a collection of tabs, which has a tab for problems, output, terminal. So whenever you write code, and if there is any error, you can see that error in the problems tab. Similarly, you can run your CLI commands in the terminal. And then you have a status bar at the bottom, which shows the status information of the currently open project. It may be about your repository. It may be about your branch of the repository. It may be about the lines of your code, whichever line you're currently working on, so on and so forth. Before starting developing on Salesforce platform, it's very important to set up your developer environment. As I said, Salesforce extension pack is one important extensions pack. Once you install it on Visual Studio Code, you'll be able to develop applications on Salesforce platform. Now, you can set up the workspace. Generally in Visual Studio Code, we work in workspaces, and each workspace can contain one or more projects. And each project is further organized as folders. So fundamentally what we do is we create a workspace and we add the projects in the form of folders there. And then the third thing is you can customize your developer environment. Now, as I said, you can create the workspace, so you can run your customizations, your features, settings at the user level. When you do it at the user level in user settings, it applies to all the users who use the Visual Studio Code. And then you can override some of the settings using your workspace settings. And you can further override workspace settings with respect to your project in your folder settings. So let's see a quick demo of Visual Studio Code and its user interface. So I'm currently in my Visual Studio Code environment. And here you can see on the left side, this is the activity bar, where I have five activities currently. One is the Explorer and a search, and then source control, so on and so forth, a marketplace, so on and so forth. You can also add more activities if you feel like if it is too clumsy, then you can right click it and you can disable, you can switch off one of the activities here. Fine. When you click on this activity, File Explorer, you'll be able to see the files here. But currently I did not open any project. I did not even clone the project. So I cannot see any of the files here. So let's do that. I'm currently in sample gallery, which is one of the Salesforce Trailhead's site from where you can get some reference applications, which you can use to find your day-to-day use cases. And then you can use that reference code in your projects. So for instance, I'm using the LWC recipes here. So when I click that, and I can go here and I can copy this GitHub URL, and you can see that I can check out the code right from my Visual Studio Code. Earlier, I had to do it from the terminal. So most of the things I'm going to show you today, I'm not going to move out of my source code editor. I'm going to do everything within the source code editor. When I press this key, it asks me to save that at some place. I'll select some place here on my system and save the repository. So when we do that, it saves, and when you click on this open, now you can see the File Explorer on the left side. And you can click on any of these files, and that file will be opened in your editor here. Okay, and as I said, these are the additional icons with which you can have more control on your editor. These are the editor-specific icons. And at the bottom, we have a panel. This is the panel where you can see some comments, problems if there is an error in your code, output, and again in output you want to see, say, Salesforce CLI output, you can say CLI output. So there are numerous options. You can select one of which and then show the output there. And similarly, you can run your commands from the terminal. And at the bottom, you can see master. This is the branch on which I'm currently working. And I can also see whether I have connected my environment to the scratch org or not. And here you can see there's an error. Don't really worry about that error. This is because I just checked out the code from LWC space, and this code needs just cases to be run. So as I said, so you can also run some of the plugins from npm. So here, if I say npm install, this error will go away, after which the just test will be incorporated. That's absolutely fine. So this is the basic user interface. So let's go ahead and see what are the other features. So here I'm in different features that I have. So the next feature which we are going to talk about is visual productivity. So Visual Studio Code provides various options for visual productivity. The first one, which I like most, is the themes. This is with which you can set your text and background colors in your developer environment. So for any developer, it should be very convenient to develop the applications. So that's where you can set the themes. And the second option is the most important option. Assume you don't know anything about the Visual Studio Code. You don't know how to use it. So this is the place where you can start with. So here, when you launch this quick open, it can launch any of the activities from there. For instance, you can open a file. You can search for a symbol in your file. You can switch between the files. You can do whatever action you want to do. Most of the actions are covered in quick open, and I'm going to show you in a demo there. So with Visual Studio Code, again, as a developer, I'm more convenient running the shortcut keys, because most of the times I'll be like, no, I don't want to go to menu and then open the one of the menu item and go maybe through different steps. Rather, if I have a shortcut key, with one shortcut key, I can launch that. So quick open can be launched using Command P on Mac operating system and Control P on Windows operating system. The next one is command palette, from where you can run your Salesforce JX commands. Not only that, if you are working on some other developer, some other ecosystem, some other platform, you can run the respective commands from the command palette. And this command palette can also be opened from quick open. As I said, that is the one-stop space from where you can launch any activity. And again, I have a shortcut key here to launch it on Mac operating system as well as Windows operating system. And then here, you can see key bindings. For any of you who would have already worked on Force.com, you might be well aware that Force.com IDE is being retired. But if you are well acquainted with those shortcut keys and you want to migrate to Visual Studio Code, you need not really worry. Because you can install the shortcuts, the similar shortcuts in Visual Studio Code IDE as an extension. After installing that extension, you can use the same shortcut keys here. So let's see a quick demo of visual productivity features. Again, I'm back in my Visual Studio Code, so I can open any of the files. The first productivity feature which we want to see here is, the first productivity feature which we want to see here is themes. You can apply different kinds of themes. If you're using a Windows system, then you'll have to use File. But if you're using Mac, you can go to Code, Preferences, and you can click on Color Theme. And you can see, again, I have a shortcut key, Command K, Command T for Mac operating system. Similarly, Control K, Control T for Windows operating system, with which you can launch that. So let me use the shortcut key here. Say, I will close the terminal for now. So I can use Command K, Command T. You can see it launches the different possible themes. I'm currently using the Code Midnight theme here, and I can use the direction arrows. And if I go up, you can see that the background color and theme change at the bottom. Similarly, you can see, you can choose any of these themes, whichever theme you like, whichever color background you like, you can choose those themes and set those themes. I like Code Midnight theme, so I will use the same theme. Okay, the next thing which you are going to see here is I talked about quick view. Let me open a quick view. Quick view you can open from again from the menu. Go here and you can open, you can select this open view, but let me use the shortcut key here. So this is the quick view, and I can also get rid of this sidebar by pressing this File Explorer, or I can use a shortcut key Command B. So for almost everything, you have a shortcut key there. Now, let me open a quick view. Here you can type question, and you can see various options here. So you have option for to go to file. So earlier we opened a file from here directly by typing the file. It's the same thing. You can press hash, and you can search for any of your components in your system. And then let me go here. If you press this greater than, it's going to launch the command palette. I said you can directly launch the command palette using Command Shift P or Control Shift P, or you can launch it even from here. So when I press this, it launches command palette. And if I type any of the SFDX commands, you can see all these commands are available and I can run the commands. Likewise, there are a number of options. As I said, you can open all these activities. You want to see the open all the editors, you want to open active editors, so on and so forth. There are different options. Maybe here, what I highlighted currently, if you click that, you can also go to a particular line number. So you can type colon in quick view and you give the line number, it will take you to the line number. Similarly, if you click at the rate, it will take you to the different methods. Currently, I'm in MD file, I don't have any methods. So I don't see a methods there. Let me open one of the files. Let me open quick view again. Let me search for a file, say Apex imperative method with complex parameters, which has more methods, I believe. Here I can launch the quick view and I can say question. I can go at the rate, and you can see these are the different methods that are available. Now you can see at the backside of my my tool here, you can see the IDE, you can see the source code. While I'm moving the cursor here, it takes me to the respective function. Okay, you can directly go to that particular method right from here. Okay, this is all about the quick view and command palette and some of the view productivity features or visual productivity features. Now let's see what are the code productivity features. There are various code productivity features. The first one being prettier. So maybe 10 or 15 years back, when I joined just as an intern, probably at that time, I never used to worry about the formatting the code, and I had a lot of things to hear from my bosses at that time. Then in a hard way, I learned it's very important to format the code. But even as a developer, we might forget formatting code for some of the files. In that case, you can use the Prettier plugin, which you can install as a NPM plugin in your Visual Studio Code environment, with which when you run the Prettier, it is going to format all the files at once. And then you can check in your code, check out your code, work with your code, whatever you want to do. So if you want to format all the files together, you can use the Prettier plugin. The next important code productivity feature is code lengths. Now here you can see a small sample code at the right side bottom, which has a class over which you can see 4 references. So these are the references, this particular method is being referenced from different classes. I'll show it with an example, but with code lengths, you can see whichever methods are referring to this particular method or a class, and you can also peek through the code. You need not go between the files. So for instance, if I'm working on a particular method, which is being called by another method from a different file, which is being called by another method from a different file, I need not really navigate to all those files to see the code. I can see all the code right from here using the code lengths. Next handy feature is code snippets, with which you can insert the boilerplate code for your project, whichever application you are working on, whichever programming language you're working on. So maybe you're working on Apex, you're working on JavaScript, you can insert the code snippets. So for most of the commonly used patterns, code snippets are available. So for instance, for loop, for each loop, do while loop, LWC custom event. For all these things, we have code snippets. But if you want to create your own code snippet, you can even do that using the user snippets, with which you can create your custom code snippets. Again, I'm going to show this in a demo there. Deploy and save is one feature for developers who periodically make changes or very frequently make changes. Wherein like he wants to make a change and immediately see how it works. So you can enable deploy on save. What it does is whenever you save your file, it automatically pushes the source code into your scratch out. Okay, or deploys the source code into your sandbox. There are other important features. In fact, I can list down a number of features here, but again, in the interest of time, I'm only listing the most important features. So the other important feature is org browser, with which you can get the metadata from your Salesforce org onto your local system. The normal way of doing this is by using the manifest file and running the metadata API. But here in this case, you need not really use manifest file. With single button click, you get all the files from there. You can select whichever file you want to get into your local system and selectively import those files. And it is available in all non-scratch orgs. And it's not available in scratch org though. The other important feature is SOCL language server. So many of you would have already used query browser in your developer console. The SOCL language server does the same thing here in Visual Studio Code, where you can check how a query works, and then you can use the query in your Apex programming. Another important productivity feature is Apex Replay Debugger, which probably most of the, I've interacted with many developers, most of the developers really don't know or never heard about Apex Replay Debugger, but take my word, it's one of the very important features, which once you install, you can debug your production issues very easily. So you can get the debug logs from the production system, and then you can set the breakpoints in the respective code on your local system. And then when you run the Apex Replay Debugger, it stops at the breakpoint. And then you can monitor the variable values there. So I'm not going to cover this in demo, but you have a very nice trailhead module called Find and Fix Bugs with Apex Replay Debugger. I advise you, probably after the session, you can go and check this out. So this is all about code productivity features. Let's see at least a couple of demos here. So I'm currently back again in my Visual Studio Code, and I'm going to show you prettier. Say for instance, let me make some changes to this file. I'll change this file. So I don't like this formatting. I put something here, and this one is also, I just offset everything. Let me save the file. What happens? The file is saved just like that. So what I can do here, I can open the settings and then make a setting so that it will be automatically formatted. As I said, I can run prettier to format all the files at once, or I can also make a setting in such a way that whenever I save the file, the formatting is applied. So in Visual Studio Code, whatever features you want to, whatever settings you want to do, you can do it using the settings file. So you can go to Code, Preferences, and open the settings from here. Or you can also have a shortcut key again, as a favorite of shortcut keys. So I'll click Command comma. Okay, so I'm in the I'm currently in the settings file where I can search for a setting called Format on Save. Okay, I can select this setting, and then if I go back here, I'll take the same file, I'll make some more changes, some more odd changes. I'll disturb the formatting. Let me save it and see what happens. It automatically formats. So this is one important setting. And not only that, I was also talking about the code lengths. So again, you can go to the settings, and here now you can search for code lengths. And here you can see an option called Editor Code Lengths. If I select this option and go back to my file, see what happens. Now it shows the references. When I click, and it shows that this particular class is being referenced at 4 different places. When I click this, it shows where it is referenced. This is how I can peek into the code. I need not really move out of my file. I'm seeing the code right from here. And here you can see I'm currently, it is being referenced in a file called test.js. And this is one place, and this is another place, this is another place, and this is another place. And if you click here, it will directly take you to that particular location. It's that easy to navigate between the files. So I talked about format on save, I talked about code lengths. The next important thing I want to talk about is snippets. So let me open another file. Let me open, say, hello.js file, because that is very small file and I can show the things very easily. So here I want to insert a for loop. What I can do, I can launch my view and then click on question, and I can go to snippets, or else I can launch the command palette rather. Here I can say insert snippet. Now you see insert snippet. So I have different options. I can insert do while loop, I can insert for loop, I can insert for each loop, so on and so forth. For instance, let me insert for loop. And you can see that it inserts the complete syntax. So this is the benefit of code snippets. You have code snippets for many of other features as well. So here I can change the index. I can change like say instead of index, I say I, and you can see that it is changed at every location, and I can use simply, and I can see make changes to my variable as well. So this is one example. Not only that, if you are working on LWC, you can also say LWC minus. This is one other way in which you can launch the code snippets. You can either go to the command palette and launch code snippets, or you can launch from here. Say for instance, I want to create a custom event. Here, I want to dispatch event. I can do that right from here. So it creates a complete signature for me. So that is the benefit of the code snippets. So that's all about let me not save, about your code productivity features. The next important set of features I'm going to talk about is the version control features. So we have source control integrated into Visual Studio Code. By default, it supports Git. But if you want to use any other version control system, you can always use that. Maybe you want to use Subversion, or maybe you want to use some other version control system, you can do that. But it supports Git out of the box, and it supports all the different methods or all the different actions that you want to do on your repository. Maybe you want to switch the branch. Maybe you want to stay the changes, commit and push the changes, or you want to pull the changes from your source code. You can always do that right from your Visual Studio Code. I will show you with a proper demo again. And one important feature, which is a third-party extension, which I like most and very helpful, is GitLens. GitLens was developed by Eric Emodio, and thanks to him for that, with which you can see for every line of code on your local system, you can see which particular person has changed that part of code at what time. So you can see the complete Git blame in your Visual Studio Code. So those are the two important features in your version control. So let's see it in action. We'll create a demo and see how we can work with your version control. I'm going to show the version control stuff right in your demo itself. Okay, so let's see it in action. I'm going to use a use case here. I'll use a simple use case where I want to create a contact list in my application. I've chosen that use case because I want to use as many features as possible, code productivity features, so that I can showcase those features. So I'll close this folder for now. I'll create a new project, new folder. Let's start with a new project. So I'll close the folder. Now my Visual Studio Code is pretty clean. I can even close this. I can use the default Windows commands to close the files here. So let's go ahead and start working on our new project. Let me go to my browser. So I'm in a GitHub repository. This is my GitHub repository. This is my login. So let's create a new project. Let's call it as virtual Dreamin demo. And you see, while I'm typing those things, it says that this is available. It's pretty good. I can make this repository as public, or I can even make this repository as private. For instance, let me make this as private, but later, once we are done with the demo, I'll also share this code with you. So here you can select your repository to start with a default README file if you want. And if you are developing some open source, in fact, I'm developing the open source code because I'm also going to share the source code with you. I'll use the MIT license. And let's say create repository. Now that I've created a repository with one file called license, I can clone this source code from here. I can copy this GitHub repository, go back to my Visual Studio Code environment, and here I can clone the repository. So I can paste in here. As I said earlier, you can clone this repository by pasting it, or you can also, if the project is already available on your system, you can open the folder as well. So let me press enter, and let me select some location on my system where I'll install it. Now I checked out my repository, I opened the file, and you can see that it has one single file called license. Perfect. It's working so far, so good. Now, let's create a project. How do you create a project? As I said, you can launch the command palette, which I can do is using Command Shift P in Mac and Control Shift P on Windows. So here I can say create project. And I will, it creates a Salesforce DX structured project. So I can take standard project, empty, or some kind of analytics project. By default, I'll take standard. Let's give a project name. So it is the same name I'm giving, whichever, like no, in version control system, I've given the name as virtual Dreamin demo. So I'm using the same name here. And I'll store it in the same location, create project. Why I'm doing this is because I want the files from my repository, and also I want to overwrite with my new set of project files. And now you can see my license file is safe, and I got all my new files here. And this is the Salesforce DX project structure, where you have 4 tabs within which you can see all your files, like your applications, Aura classes, Aura components, classes, Apex classes, and even your Lightning Web components, so on and so forth. And you can also see there's one scripts folder where it provides some default Apex code. This is for running your anonymous Apex code. So whatever you're doing in your developer console, most of the things you can do even here. Now, so I want to get some information from my Salesforce org, and then I want to show this contacts information here. For that, I want to write a SOQL query. So let's go ahead and write a SOQL query here. Okay, but before that, let us try to create a Lightning component. In fact, you can first write the SOQL query and then create the component, or either way. So let me create a Lightning Web component. So here I see a problem. When I try to create a Lightning Web component, I'm not seeing any SFDX commands. This can happen to quite few developers. You need not really get annoyed. So what we can do is we can reload the windows. So there's an option called developer reload window. When you click this, what it does is it reloads your complete development environment. Because I just created my Salesforce DX project, I'm reloading so that it refreshes and identifies this project, and it provides me the respective SFDX commands. Now you see I have a lot of SFDX commands. I can type create Lightning Web component. Let us give some name as, say, contact list component. Okay, it takes, you can give the default. It's a project, and you can see it has contact list.html, JavaScript, absolutely fine. Now let me go ahead and let me create a script. As I said, I can collapse all these files together once, and then I want to open the scripts folder, go to SOQL, and here you can create your own SOQL file. For instance, if you are working on contact object, you can create a contact SOQL file so that those queries which you are using in your project can be placed there and can act as a reference down the line. So you need not really go back to files and search for the queries. You can find all the queries in that particular file. But for the demo purpose, I'll use same account file itself for contact and see whether this query works good or not. I can write even a complex query, but I want to keep it as simple as possible. So let me open the command palette, and here I'll type SOQL. And you can see I have a command called execute SOQL query with current selected text. I can run this using, say, REST API. I can run it using metadata API as well.
Okay. We have a quick time check, 10 minutes.
Yeah, cool. Okay, it says it did not really pass, and it says you have to pass your username and authentication information. That happens because I did not set any of the orgs as my default orgs. So it did not find any place from where it can get that query. So let's quickly authorize an org. Let's authorize a DevHub org. It takes there. Let me authorize DevHub _2020. That's absolutely fine. So once I authorize that, I can, in fact, create a scratch org and start using that scratch org. For demo purposes, what I've done is I've already created a scratch org for you. We can use it. Yeah, once I logged into the authorized org, that's absolutely fine. I can close it. And here I'll again go back. And at this, on the status bar, I'm clicking no default org set. See, from here I can launch the command. And here I can select the scratch org which I created for this demo. I'll select the scratch org. Now I have the scratch org. Now let's select this and let's run the execute socle command using, you have two options. As I said, you can use tooling API or REST API. When you do that, it runs the command, it gets that information, and it shows that information here in your terminal. Now you can see it got all the list. My socle query is really good. So I can start using this socle query in my controller. So I want to create a controller here in which I want to use the socle query. So let me say command palette. Let me launch command palette and say controller. Okay, so it has created an Apex class called contact controller. If you want this, you can use it or you can delete it. Now let me insert a method signature. Again, I can, as I said, I can use insert snippet. I need not really type everything there. I'll say insert snippet, and here I'll say Apex. Apex only. Again, if it doesn't work, don't really worry about it. Try to reload Windows. And let me try with a insert snippet now. Yes, now you can see Aura enabled. Say it identifies in which particular type of file I'm in. I'm currently in Apex file, so it shows me the Apex possible snippets. Now let me say Aura enabled. Here I can select public or global. Then you can press tab, and here you can give what is the return type. In this case, I'm saying contact. And you can give some method name here. Say I'll say get contacts. And when I press tab, it takes me here where you can copy paste your socle query. You can take the socle query, copy it, and paste it. So you can return this socle query. It returns the list of contacts. And save it. That's it. Now you created a contact controller class. Now I want to use that class in my contact list.javascript. So here I can go, I can use that class. In order to use that class, so what I need to do is I can say import, and I want to use get contacts method. So I'll copy this. I'll go back to the contact list. I'll get rid of my sidebar so that it will @Salesforce, all the possible things that I can import, and I say contact controller, it says get contact method. Now insert the method for getting that contacts from my here. So again, I can use command palette and say insert snippet. And here I will say I want to use wire service. When I type wire, it shows all the possibilities. I want to use LWC wire Apex property. And here you can give the property name. I just want to use the get contacts property. And here I can give the name, some name, which can be referenced in my HTML file. So I'm saying contacts, and let me save it. So I see a red curly underscore here. So there's a problem. So I can go to the problems window at the bottom in the panel. It says invalid decorator usage. When you hover over it, it says that we did not import wire. Oh, that's the problem. So here we can go and say import wire. Great. We have created now contact list.js. We can open contact.html. Again, I can go here and I can open from here, but there is one more easy way. So today's session is all about productivity. So I'll mostly concentrate on productivity. So what is the other way? I can enable breadcrumbs. I can go here and say show breadcrumbs. So what happens is when you show breadcrumbs, you can see the complete path, relative path from your project here. And currently I'm in contact list.js and I want to move to contact list.html. I can click that, it shows me those options, and I can go here and I can write the contact list.html code here, where I want to use those contacts. Say for instance, I want to use a lightning card. So I want to use a card here. So I can get that card information from my browser. I can go to the component library, search for a card. I want to use this card. And I can see the example here in the component library about the card. I can make the changes, or I can go to the playground and see how the card looks like. This is the card. And I don't want to use this new button. So I'll remove the new button here. Okay, footer, I want to say virtual Dreamin here, maybe. I'll quickly say virtual Dreamin. And then you can see my card really looks good. I can copy the code from here, go back to my Visual Studio Code and paste the code here. And you can save it. And we can get that contact information. We can start using our contact information from there. I can use, say, template. And for, say, when I say template, right? And when I say for and say control space, it shows all the possible options. So I can use for each. And here I can say contacts. So I can set for contacts. And when wire service returns, it returns two objects for me, basically contacts.data and error. So I can see if I have a contacts.data, then I can do some operation. I can show that information here. So let me.
Yes, Satya, quick time check. We have only 2 minutes.
Okay, cool. I'm almost done. So you can run your contact information here. And in fact, yeah, again, in the interest of time, it's pretty simple code where I'm going to use, say, template if and write the contact, check whether the contacts data is available there. And I can run the for each loop, and I can do a lot of things here. So as I said, I can use my emits as well. There is one more feature called emits. So for instance, if I say HTML and select HTML5, it creates the structure for HTML5. Similarly, it creates some structure for our templates as well, and we can start using the template. This is how you can build your application very easily using the productivity features in the Visual Studio Code. And once I'm done with everything, let me quickly go to my repository and show you how I can check these things into my repository, into my source code, and share it with you. So currently, these are all untracked files. So I can go here, add all those files. So you can say these are added for checking into your repository. Here you can say your first commit and click on this tick button. It is going to commit your changes. Okay, it says there are some unsaved changes. So I can say save all and commit. It commits. And once it commits, so until it commits, this circle keeps going round. But once it is done, it becomes stable. Now I can push it. You can see here, you can see a blue line going from left to right and a circle which is revolving. So once it is stopped, your commit is successful. You can go back to your repository, and if you refresh, you can see that your source code is already available in your repository. Okay, this is all about how you can use the Visual Studio Code. But after this, what to do? The way to go is to use the trailhead, where you can find a quick start Visual Studio Code module from where you can learn about the Visual Studio Code. And you also have build Lightning Web Components trail from where you can learn all about your Visual Studio Code and Lightning Web Components.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.